Yo, what's up guys, KingGBL here. Welcome back to a brand new Great League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a very strong team in the Open Great League, which has done very well for me over the last couple of days, and very well for me for the entire season. Shadow Sableye in the lead, Shadow Claw, Foul Play, Dazzling Gleam, Lapras with Psywave, Legacy Ice Beam and Sparkling Ariam, and Clodsire aka Claudia with Poison Sting, Sludge Bomb and Earthquake. After Clodsire came into the game, it was one of the best Pokemon for sure in the Open Great League. Over the last couple of seasons, it's definitely went down a peg or two. But I found that this season, with a lot of the move updates, Clodsire's looking very, very strong, and I had a very good time with it. It's very consistent. Even in a couple of its worst matchups, it can get off a lot of damage, even against a Diggersby, which is a horrible matchup, mind you. If you're up a little bit of energy, you get off a couple of Earthquakes, you can put through some big damage. Or against things like this Marowak right here, you know, one Earthquake gets it pretty low. It's a very, very horrible matchup. But the good thing about Clodsire is it's very bulky. It has access to buff Poison Sting and hard-hitting charge moves, and I think it's very underrated in this current meta. Whenever I've seen the move updates this season, I kind of seen that Clodsire is going to be kind of back in the meta. In the last couple of Pokemon tournaments, we've started seeing it a lot more, and as you can see in this matchup right here, we're just going to absolutely cook the Weezing. I go for Sludge Bomb, it's neutral here against the Shadow Weezing, just because it's almost going to knock it out. I don't want them to mess around and get a catch. And by the way, Ice Beam I think is very, very important for this team setup. If you have a look at it, we're sort of a weak to Jump Bluff. Mind you, a lot of Jump Bluffs are running the double flying moveset, so Lapras is not horrible into it. But with Ice Beam, it just gives you that option to basically one-shot the Jump Bluff. And then of course, Clodsire is your hard answer to Jump Bluff on the team. This team worked super well. I went up from 2479 to I think 2605, plus 120 ELO, roughly 125. So give this team a try for yourself if you want to try to push a little bit of ELO. And one thing I'd like to announce here guys is that I've started a coaching service on Patreon. If you guys are interested, I've been coaching for around 2 years in Discord. I've helped a lot of people hit Legend, get much better at the game, improve their skills and all that kind of stuff in Go Battle League, learn advanced mechanics, counting, move timing. If you're interested in getting better, and if you want a lower cost coaching service, the service I'm offering on Patreon is definitely on the lower cost side of things. And the goal is not just to basically coach you and try to hold your hand through matches, it's basically to teach you how to play the game better. You'll get access to the exclusive part of our Discord for Patreon members, where you get access to the teams. If I'm running a team before I showcase it on YouTube, or before I stream it, you'll be able to see it in there first. And of course I'll be trying to give you just full guides on teams. We do the coaching one-to-one in Discord. You can stream your battles for me. I'll basically point out what you're doing wrong. I'll guide you through different matchups so you can learn the matchups properly, throw in good move timing, try to learn your win conditions, lose conditions, and all that kind of fun stuff. And whenever you're not getting coaching sessions, you're free to contact me to get any team building advice or any sort of tips or anything that you need for Go Battle League. So definitely well worth it. Check it out in the description down below, and big thank you to everybody who's joined that. Anyway, hopping back into the battles here, you can see what Clodsire's doing here. Guzzy's become very common as well in the meta. We just completely wreck it. We one-shot the Weezing. Things like Weezing, Credilli, Guzzlord have become very common, and like I said, Clodsire is a very good answer into them. So yeah, highly recommend trying this team. I will be showcasing another team with Clodsire in the next day or two as well, so stay tuned for that. Jump Love lead is a bit awkward, bit of a core breaker. Oftentimes these can be running double flying moveset, so you can go straight into Lapras. That's really why we want to have Ice Beam on the team, just to give us that ability to one-shot. Now you're going to see that this is whenever I was first playing the team, I actually make a bit of a mistake here. Foul Play and Dip is fine, shielding the Energy Ball is fine, but most opponents will not expect you to be an Ice Beam. So in my opinion, baiting this was very, very silly, because here we are with a full health Lapras, boom, they're going to hit us with the Energy Ball, that's 60% of our health gone, in comes Shadow Typhlosion. This is bad news. Shadow Typhlosion with shields up, it's curtains folks, like it's just already curtains. Here comes Clodsire. And you know what I said about not baiting? Well, you're about to learn that you're not supposed to bait in this game at all, because I'm going to go for a Sludge Bomb. This is a glassy Pokemon, surely it's going to knock it out, right? Wrong. You know, to be honest with you, I don't think that's really a misplay. They lived on 1 HP, it's very, very unfortunate, but our Clodsire is going to say bye-bye here. In comes Talonflame, Grass Double Fire, just a very hardcore ABB team. Typhlosion is a very interesting safe swap. It's a Pokemon I always had a ton of fun with. It's got nice coverage, it threatens shields off basically anything, like Thunder Punches do a lot to like Toxapex, Azzy, all that kind of stuff. We get a nice catch, but it doesn't matter. I already baited the opponent twice. I've lost this battle because I bait too much, and yeah, I guess that's where you sort of have to learn, right? When you've got a Jump Bluff on your Lapras, you just go for the Ice Beam. They normally don't expect it. If you don't build up to the Skull Bash, they probably won't respect it. If you can learn anything from any content creator, learn this from Jamie Finn. Do not bait. Speaking of which, I'll be facing Jamie later in the video, so stay tuned, it should be a very fun matchup for you. Jamie and I battled yesterday when I was streaming in Discord. Extremely close battle. It comes down to 1 HP in a dream. So stay tuned, it's going to be a little bit later on in the video. I think I'm going to do a Jamie Finn special and like put it at the start of the video, showcasing that we'll be battling, because it was a really, really good battle, really close battle as well. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway guys, we get the Mandibuzz, another fantastic reason to have Ice Beam. Ice Beam basically 2 shots of Mandy, even with the resisted Psy Waves. So this matchup in itself makes Ice Beam quite worth it. And the buzz is rank 1 in the Great League. I've not really seen it that much. I think it's because all of the ghosts are not that great, apart from Sableye, to be honest with you. The meta's kind of shifted around things that are countering Ghost, which makes things like Dusclops, Dusknoir not that good. Because Sableye's got the Dark typing, it's able to survive in the meta that's countering Ghost. The opponent comes back into Swampy. This will be the hardest hitting move left in the game. We're going to shield it with Clodsire. Hydro Cannon comes through. We sting all the way down. The opponent's got 2 shields, but we've got a full health Clodsire basically. We've got a very healthy Sableye. And I learned from my lesson here. We don't need to bait this move, right? We easily make free moves. The opponent knows it too. They're on Crunch and Sludge Bomb by the looks of things. So we full send the move for 2 shields, and that's good games. What a core breaker in the lead. Pangoro. This is horrible for me. So the one saving grace here is we can one-shot with Dazzling. They cannot one-shot with Night Slash, right? If they get a boost, this could be really bad for me, to be honest with you. But at the very least, we should be able to get a shield or 2 off the opponent. And with shields down, Pangoro doesn't really do as well as you would like it to. Clodsire can sort of deal with it at this point. I decided to full send the Gleam. The opponent's just reaching the Night Slash now. Calling the bait, the opponent decides to let it go, and we're in a much better position now. Because we have basically like 2 answers to this, and because the opponent had a Pangoro in the lead, I'm going to assume something's weak to Sableye in the back. The opponent ends up coming into Clodsire. Very nice catch by the opponent. However, we're still ahead in energy. We get a pace to 2 Earthquakes, so we're pretty happy here. Whenever you throw one of your moves, it makes the Earthquake 1 cheaper, right? So it's 8-7 for Earthquake. I think it's 6-6-5 for Sludge Bomb. But if you throw a Sludge Bomb, the Earthquake will be 7. So we're able to outpace here. The opponent lands the Earthquake. They shield mine. I'm pretty happy with this because I've got a full health Lapras. Lapras can easily take an Earthquake or a Sludge Bomb. We basically keep the shield just in the event that the opponent's got the Energy Ball for the Lapras. They go Sludge here, knocks out the Sableye. I'm going to wait my full switch clock here at this point, get a ton of side waves, look to one-shot the Jumpluff, one-shot this, and we should be in a very fine position. The opponent's probably making the correct play, trying to pry the shield away from me here to sweep it with Jumpluff. Unfortunately for them, I'm just not falling for that at this point. We're going to go for a big Ice Beam. I believe this is Shadow Jumpluff here. Bang! We're going to absolutely take it out of the skies here. Lapras is going to side wave all the way down, and that's good games to that opponent there. Hopping into the next battle, we have quite an awkward lead in Dragonite. Dragonite can basically 2-shield farm down the Sableye. We do make 2 moves against it, so it's not completely horrible. But with stuff that you see in the back with Dragonites, you might want to keep Sableye alive at times. The opponent actually brings in a Sand Slash here, and I'm super happy with this because first it's non-shadow, it can't really threaten to 2-shot me here. I can 2-shot it, the Powder Snows are double resisted, and it means that my Clodsire does not have to see this. The opponent's farming up a lot of energy. We're going to get off both of these sparkling areas, and because we're throwing resisted Psy Waves and the Sand Slash must have decent IVs, they will look to get off both moves here, unfortunately. Kind of hoping I could have sniped it with the 1 HP there, but they just survived to get those moves off. Relatively close in the end, and the opponent comes into a Jellicent. This is definitely a little bit awkward. It walls my moveset with Lapras. I definitely want to get some chip in here, just to put it into like Shadow Claw down range, maybe later on. I don't quite make that move, unfortunately. The opponent swaps back into Dragonite here. I come into Clodsire. I'm so happy the opponent swapped out here at this point, because had this stayed in, this could have been very, very awkward at a certain point. Although we are up 2 shields, the opponent's up a ton of energy, so definitely this should be okay here at this point. We commit to the Sting down. Unfortunately, the opponent makes the move. I do feel like I have to shield here to try and get the opponent's final shield with this. The opponent here, they are getting relatively close to the second move. However, my Sableye still get energy, so we go for an Earthquake here. I think the opponent ends up shielding this move. We come into Sableye, we get off the foul. Oh, we don't actually quite get it off. I think I made a mistake by shielding here. The opponent gets off the Surf, takes out Sableye, back in comes Clodsire. The opponent's drawing energy. We do make the Earthquake. The question is, will this be enough to knock out bulky Jellicent? Ladies and gents, it paused. We get the pop-up in the bottom right. We do get the win there, and it's for good games well played to that opponent. Pretty lucky on my part. For me, the fact that Clodsire is so bulky basically bailed me out of that loss. In this next battle here, I farm up with Sableye, come into my Clodsire as a damage sponge basically. 1 Earthquake, plus Poison Stings will basically get this done here. The opponent's going to get off their second Brutal Swing. If they're in Crunch, this matchup gets a little bit awkward, because debuffs and stuff like that make it pretty awkward for Clodsire. They can start threatening to farm you down. We're happy that it's on this. The opponent will get off another move here. This does start getting very, very close after a while, so over farming a lot and then swapping out might be a little bit of a mistake. I decide to come into Sableye, go for an aggressive farm down, and we're out of here with so much energy. Doesn't matter what's in the back, nothing wants to take this energy, especially not Cacturn. We bait them with the foul play. I've learned nothing, I'm still baiting, but you know, like you have to bait sometimes, right? We land the Dazzling Gleam, in comes Ariados, the Poison Sting is the whole way down, but we have got 2 very good answers to it. I can basically look to go for Psy Waves, no shield the first Trailblazer lunge, and I'm going to make a swap into Clodsire at this point. Clodsire is still healthy enough to make an Earthquake. The opponent basically is forced to no-shield this move, because I'm going to make easily another move with Lapras. They let it go. Good games well played to that opponent there. And once again, Clodsire puts in just so much work. Now, hopping into this next battle, we have Jamie Finn, 1415. Let's see what we can get here. Shadow Pidgeot on the lead versus Sableye. Once again, yet another very bad lead for me. Pidgeot is made of paper, so I decide to stay in, go for a move. Now, if you guys are like me and watch Jamie Finn's content, I've seen his video where he had Diggersby in the back. I'm expecting that. I'm expecting Clodsire to have nowhere to go in the back. I need my Sableye and my Lapras to sweep this game. The opponent has a masturbating session here and goes for the air cutter. They go for the catch and Diggersby. Thankfully for me, I don't fall for it. I don't throw an alignment, and we go for a big Earthquake here. Being Shadow Diggersby, these Earthquakes are starting to add up a little bit, and once again, Clodsire, can you hang on to this? We just about hang on to the Scorching Sands, get off the second Earthquake, and we might be in a quite decent position now. I know that Lapras, up energy, can do very, very well into Swampert and can do very fine into Pidgeot. The Pidgeot has a lot of energy. I have to let this move go, and we're going to farm it all the way down. Now, unfortunately, the opponent gets the debuff. I'm going to swap back into Sableye. I'm going to go for the foul play immediately here, try to get the last shield off the opponent or get some heavy damage. That doesn't one-shot the Pidgeot. They can let it go, and they farm us all the way down. This Pidgeot is absolutely loaded. I am going to respect the damage, and the opponent has a master beating session. Can we get the farm down? The opponent makes the Brave Bird on 1 HP in a dream. We have to respect the damage, and we can basically hope to land a move and farm down the Swampert. However, it's Annihilate in the back. I realize at this point my win conditions to go for an Ice Beam farm down. The opponent knows I'm going to make 2 moves, so then no shield the Ice Beam. We just about farm it down, and we win that battle with 1 HP in a dream. Massive shout out to Jimmy. He's about one of the only people whose videos I watch on YouTube. Super funny commentary and always has very fun spicy teams. Once again in the next battle we have another very negative lead in Jumpluff. You can see in this video we're getting so many negative leads, but we are still getting a lot of wins with this team. We gained 120 ELO despite all of these negative leads. We chip with Sableye, we come into Lapras, we shield up the Energy Ball, and because we chip the opponent they probably think we don't have the Ice Beam. We go for Ice Beam here, take out the Jumpluff, and the opponent meets us with their own Lapras here. We go for Sparkling Aria straight away. The opponent knows we're an Ice Beam, so there's no point building up to the Skull Bash. We're in a very decent position here. We're getting Lapras on Lapras, which is about the best place to see it on the team. Sableye beats it quite well, but we definitely don't want to see it on Clodsire. Very, very hard answer for Clodsire. Now at this point in the match, I like to think, what has the opponent got in the back? They're meeting Lapras with their own Lapras. They obviously don't have a super hard answer to it. So could this possibly be worth shielding? I decide to let this go. Do I decide to bank the energy here? Okay, we go for the Sparkling right away. We outpace the opponent. And maybe at this point we go for a pivot, try to get an energy lead. I think we're actually just staying in here to take all the energy. We do win CMP here, which is beautiful. And just hopefully, Sableye, they actually go for an undercharge, come into a Mud Slapper, which you often see paired with Jumpluff in the lead. Unfortunately, like an absolute potato, I throw an alignment here. This will be very close. We're going to need DRE, and for the first time in a long time, DRE actually saved me. I should not have been getting off this move. The opponent's damage should have been going through first. So now at this point, I do have a win condition. We can take a move with Clodsire. We're obviously going to shield this move. We can definitely take the second move. Do I still need to make a catch? The opponent's going to outpace us pretty heavily here. They throw 2 Boom Clubs. I think I'm 4 away from the move. They go for another move here. I think at this point, folks, we're a little bit cooked. We've misplayed this battle quite a bit. But the opponent comes into Lapras for the side wave down. They don't make it. We come out with the Earthquake. Had the opponent just went for a Mud Slap, I don't think we were reaching this move. And that is good games well played. A little bit lucky in the end, but you absolutely love to see it. And in the next one, we actually finally get a good lead in Claydol. The opponent comes into this, and we come into Clodsire. Pretty nice RPS on my side here. The goal of this matchup for us is to come out with as much energy as possible, while not giving the opponent a big farm down with Claydol. Claydol up energy against this team can be some sort of an issue. They can go for Rock Tombs, Scorching Sands, Ice Beams, whatever the case may be. We definitely want to take both Acrobatics. However, unfortunately, Jumpluff is also a very thick Pokemon in this meta, so we can't quite farm it down before they reach an Ace. We're going to assume that the opponent's got answers to Sableye in the back. We want to maintain alignment, and we're going to look to see what the opponent wants to do. They come into they come into Claydol most likely to farm us down. We make a Sludge Bomb at the end. A little bit of chip might be very, very, very helpful here. We weren't going to make the Earthquake. Nice little chip into them here. They don't get too much energy, and I'm able to get off the foul play before they're able to reach the Rock Tomb. Our Lapras can look to sweep this in the end if the opponent's got something weak in the back, which they don't. They've got Pangoro. Lapras could maybe look to sweep. I think at this point, I need to survive this move, get this move off right here, and then look to put it all on Lapras at this stage. One very nice benefit of Ice Beam is being able to reach a harder hitting move a little bit quicker. Ice Beam does more damage than Sparkling Aria, only marginally, but it can make the difference at times. I'm going to shield this move just in case the opponent YOLOs the close combat. We're going to go for Ice Beam here. Will this be enough to knock out the Pangoro? Bang! It knocks it out! I think they might have just about survived Sparkling, so I think it's a very nice call going for the Ice Beam. At this point, I can look to shield this. I can look to go for another Ice Beam or Sparkling at this stage. I go for Ice Beam once again. The harder hitting move, and that's good games. So I would say, like, with this team, you definitely do need to run the Ice Beam coverage on Lapras. Otherwise, you're going to be getting just sort of in a little bit of trouble. One Pokemon that could be trouble for this team would be Morpeko. If you catch it in the lead, go straight for foul plays and try to play it out in the lead, or maybe catch the final move on Clodsire or something like that. Sableye can win if you land a foul play. You can basically foul play once, farm all the way down, and you can actually take that matchup. Now, a very interesting team by the opponent here. They've got Fortress in the lead. Oftentimes, the opponents have got answers to Sableye in the back of these, things like Guzzlord and Azu. We're going to go for CMP tie here on the final move. And if the opponent decides to shield, I think we let this go at this point. Go for a really aggressive Poison Sting down. We double resist Volt Switch, however, they double resist Poison Sting, so this is a very double resisted matchup here. They come into Cradilly, one of the worst matchups for Cradilly in the meta. They must be absolutely core broken by Clodsire if they're coming into this at this point. Earthquake does about 50% of the Cradilly. Earthquake will look to 2-shot it. You can normally, if you're playing it in like the 1 or 2 shield, 1 Earthquake plus 1 Sludge Bomb is enough. If you want to get an energy lead, you probably could go Sludge Bomb at this point and sting it down. But it gets very, very close, and they get very close to making the last move. I throw in good timing here, even though I go over 100 energy, because I do want to go for Sludge Bomb and try to knock it out with this. We do just about knock it out, and back in comes Fortress. I'm not messing around with this, I'm going to look to get rid of it. See what's in the back. The opponent's obviously very weak to Clod. Unfortunately, they do make a last second move, and I realise here at this point, Lapras up a shield is probably going to beat most things. They come into Jump Bluff, extremely weak to Clodsire. They probably realise that I've got even Skull Bash at this point, would be very threatening for them, so good games well played to that opponent there. And as you can see, we go 5-0 and that's it. Despite getting so many bad leads in this video, we've done extremely well, and in this next one we get a pretty neutral lead. I would call it a good lead for Sableye. We resist the moves. They will eventually go for a catch. Typically Malamar, a lot of them have Azu in the back, and they just catch the move on Azu, which is pretty annoying. However, whenever that happens, you can farm up with Sableye a little bit, come into Clodsire and still deal with it. So that's perfectly fine. I'm expecting the catch here. The opponent does make the catch on Azu. Once again, we're going to farm all the way back up. Probably farm up to 7 here before they reach the Ice Beam. And look to maybe even go into Lapras is not a bad play here, but I do decide to come into the Clodsire at this point. Oftentimes you see Malamar with things like double water, so it could be Toxapex would be obviously good for Clodsire, but sometimes it's Diggersby in the back. So if it is Diggersby, I just want to put my Clodsire here, make sure I'm getting the best possible usage out of it. I can tank 2 Ice Beams. This thing is so thick. We can tank 2 Ice Beams and even look to get off a move on Malamar whenever it comes back. They come in for the snipe, we get off with the Sludge Bomb. They have to let this go knowing that Sableye will make a move. Bang, they let it go. I come in, go for the snipe of Sableye. The opponent maybe was anticipating it, but they couldn't really throw the move there. And I think at this point, we do actually shield, which is quite an interesting shield. I must have been anticipating something in the back, however, it was a bad shield. The opponent makes a second move. I could have shielded my Lapras. I guess I wasn't really too keen on like triple resisted side-waving it down and taking superpowers, so that's probably the thinking there. In comes Clodsire. All we need to do is avoid the opponent making a catch, and we should be in a good position to win this match. And the opponent here will be definitely going for the catch at some point. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. When is the opponent going to go for this? They go for Sludge Bomb. I know the opponent's going to catch as soon as I reach it, because they really should be going Earthquake in that match. They were going Sludge Bomb just to basically misalign the clock a little bit, and in the next battle we have another great lead. Sandslash I consider to be a good lead for Sableye. We pace these moves equally, we win CMP. This is a pretty decent matchup for Sableye. And once again, this is the same thing, right? It's Sandslash in the lead. They always go for a catch on Azu at some point. I decide to take the move because the opponent took my move, and they come into Feraligatr. We need to get this move off, we do, and then we can come into Lapras. Lapras is a very decent answer to Feraligatr, especially up on shield, because our Psywaves are completely destroying it. We resist the Ice Beam, we resist the Hydro Cannon, and we can basically look to outbulk here. I'm going to take 2 Hydro Cannons, farm up to just before the opponent reaches their third move, and then look to get rid of it. Come out with some energy with Lapras. Lapras is always bulky enough to get off the second move, even if you're coming out on very low health. By the way guys, we do have a Lapras event coming up quite soon. Do keep an eye out for it. I highly recommend getting yourself a Lapras. Now, I decide to get rid of the Sandslash. I don't want anything to do with it, and the opponent comes into Sableye. I come into Clodsire. Sableye typically destroys Clodsire, but in the 2-to-1 shield, this is very fine for us. They go for Foul Play here. It's going to be the hardest hitting move. I'm going to go straight Earthquake. In these situations where you've got 2-to-1 shields and you need one move to knock them out, basically, you always full send the nuke here. Very, very happy with this. 2 Sludge Bombs wouldn't have knocked it out. We had to go for Earthquake, and we can still tank a move. We're at the point here where we can Poison Sting it down into Shadow Claw down range with our own Sableye, so very, very good position here. The opponent is trying their best to reach moves, but unfortunately for them, it's not going to be quite enough at this point in the match. Good games well played there, and as you can see, Clodsire taking another win at the end. So I think for the first 3 or 4 sets, we had really, really bad leads. For the first 3 sets anyway, and in this 4th set, we're getting a lot of good leads. In comes Ferret. I don't really know what to do with this, to be honest with you. It's got Trailblaze. It can kind of Trailblaze its way through a Clodsire if they want to, so I decide to chip it first, come into my own Clodsire, and then look to start taking the Trailblazes when they're boosted. I want to get Chip on it so that I can go straight Sludge Wave, or Sludge Bomb should I say. They're actually going for Swift, which I don't think is the correct move in this matchup. I think you definitely want to go for Trailblaze, ramp yourself up, and make the Sucker Punches do more damage. Had the opponent went for Trailblaze first time around, I think this match would be getting a little bit closer. However, we're chilling at this point. I'm going to match the shield that the opponent put up, we're going to go for a Sludge Bomb, and we should be looking basically to outpace them, right? We're going to be up a shield if they shield here. Clodsire can definitely take this match, and we're still healthy enough to get off an Earthquake and Annihilate. The opponent will probably not want to take it. They actually do take it, which is quite interesting. They're going to overfarm here. I thought they would go for Rage Fist right away. They do take the Earthquake, and yeah, we actually reach a Sludge Bomb at the end. I was thinking maybe I should have baited that move, but the opponent, knowing I've got Sableye, decided to let that move go. We come in with Lapras to sidewave it down. They did not see that one coming, and that's good games well played there. In Go Battle League, I don't think there's ever been a more disappointing release of a Pokemon than Corviknight. This Pokemon is absolute rubbish. You know, it serves a typing purpose, but it's just really bad in neutral gameplay. We get a lot of damage with Sableye. I'm happy enough to shield this move, even though I would survive it. I do like keeping health on Sableye. We sort of play this like an ABB team, and I'm pretty happy I kept this alive at this point. In comes Feraligatr. We're going to try to get the shield back off the opponent, and we're going to come into Lapras. The opponent's an insta-throwing Andy, goes for the Hydro Cannon immediately, and in this matchup, we're going to farm up just before the opponent reaches their third Hydro Cannon. We can easily take 2 without getting Shadow Claw down. Necessarily. We can reach 2 more moves in this matchup, so the opponent can't really afford to shield. We'll just farm up here, go for a Sparkling. This should look to knock out the Feraligatr, and we should get off an Ice Beam or a move on whatever comes in. The opponent comes into Malamar. I should be going for an Ice Beam in this matchup. It's my final move here. Would have done a little bit more damage. I have to pivot out before the opponent farms me down. Sometimes it's not worth getting farmed down. The opponent shields this move right here. They can't really necessarily farm me all the way, and I can outpace them. And with Clodsire, we can take multiple foul plays later on in the match, so we don't have to worry about that. The opponent goes for a catch in Corviknight. They did have some energy here, so I'm happy just to get rid of it at this point. Goodbye Corviknight, back in comes Malamar. They're forced to throw the move before they get Shadow Clawed down, and Clodsire's going to cook it up here at this point. We can easily take 2 or 3 moves. It's only really in the 2 shield scenario where this is really good for Malamar, and as you can see, we're all the way up to 26-17. I think we had a 4-1 set there, and like I said guys, this team worked out super well for me. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a quick favour, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so, and once again, if you're interested in getting some coaching, feel free to check out the link in the description to the Patreon. Give me some feedback on it as well. If you're interested, but maybe there's some things you're not too sure about, feel free to drop me a message on Discord, which will also be in the description down below. Big thank you everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.